everyone, thanks for stopping by today to watch as we create yet another Christmas card using that White Pines Bring Back My Pack special from Close to My Heart. So we're continuing to use that White Pines card making workshop stamp set, and I've gone ahead and cut the pieces and prepped them, so I'm just going to walk you through what the dimensions are. Now this is just a piece of French vanilla cardstock that is cut to an A2 card size front, so it's 5.5 by 4.25. Then I have this piece of pattern paper from the White Pines. I love this side right here, but we're going to be using this really pretty tree print on the back, and this is cut down just 1/4 inch from the card front, so it is 4 inches by 5.25. And I did that on purpose, not only so that I have a little bit of a mat on my card front, but by cutting it at 4 inches this way, I can make so many more cards from each of my pieces of pattern paper. Then we have this print, so this is going to make an appearance here, and this is also at 5.25, and it's 1.25 this way, so 5.25 by 1.25. And then I just made my own little 1/2 inch zip strip out of this pattern paper. It's the one that has the pretty trees and all sorts of different florals on the back, and then it's got the red holly leaves on the other side, and that is cut to just 1/2 inch by 5.25. And what I did do also ahead of time is I just took my chocolate ink pad and edge distressed all of the papers, including this little avocado square as well. Now, if you've been watching the other videos, I've already made 2 other cards from this holiday collection, and one of them involved using the stitched squares stitched squares thin cut. And the cool thing about that die is that when you run it through, you actually end up with 2 pieces. You get the outer frame, which has that cool stitch detail, and then you get the inner part as well, which also has the stitch detail. So since we use that frame on a different card, of course we don't want to let this inner piece go to waste, so we're going to be using it on this card design. So this is just an avocado cardstock cut from that middle square of the thin cuts. So this is going to be a really fast and easy one, so let's go ahead and start creating. Okay, before I do any stamping, you're going to find this kind of silly. I'm actually going to gut out this tiny little piece of French vanilla cardstock because I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to French vanilla or white daisy, I mean, I can use the littlest scraps just about anywhere, and really all I need is to have a little bit of a border around it, and so I just can't bear to let any of this go to waste. Now, I could have just had my white daisy card front be that little piece that is revealed all the way around the edge of my pattern paper, but if you look at the list of colors in this collection, it's not white daisy, but it is actually French vanilla, which is a much softer, kind of like a buttery white. And you know, when I did my first card and I was looking at it, it really did kind of make a difference having that bright white of the white daisy on the card front, when especially you've got this French vanilla color here in the trees. And so I just thought it was worth using that piece of cardstock to layer it this way on the front of our card. But like I said, I just couldn't bear to waste all of that. That's a good piece of French vanilla right there. So we're just gonna gut that out like this before we put those pieces on. Okay, all right, so it's gonna be pretty simple. We're just gonna go ahead and put a little bit adhesive on here. I'm just putting it around the outer edges since I did gut that out. And I'm gonna center it, and I should have 1/8 of an inch all the way around, hopefully straight, right about there. Okay, and then we're gonna take this 1.25 inch piece here, and we're going to put that on the card front. I'm gonna line this up on my Versamat here so that I can make sure I get it on straight. And I'm gonna put it about 1 inch up. So here's my 4 inch mark, there's my 5 inch. And that's what I love about my Versamat, so then I can come over here and make sure that I'm hitting that same spot and that everything is going on straight. And then we'll put this little 1/2 inch strip across the top. And I purposely made this little 1/2 inch piece out of the pattern paper from the collection and not from one of the zip strips on the top of the paper, just because as much as I love zip strips, I mean, eventually you're gonna kind of run out of those pretty quickly as you're using this big of a piece. So if I want to make a bunch of Christmas cards in bulk, I thought it was better to pull this 1/2-inch piece from one of the pattern pieces of paper where I could cut a whole lot more 1/2-inch strips for myself as opposed to pulling those from a zip strip. So that's why that's from a zip strip there, or not from a zip strip. All right, so now that part is done, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here and we're going to stamp a sentiment on the front of this using our card making stamp set. Okay. I always put my foam piece down to make sure I get a nice, good stamped image. And I'm going to come in, actually this is my really old brown, it's called Chocolate. They don't even carry it anymore, but I've had it for a long time, and it is still pretty good and juicy. And so I just have never had to get another brown. That is one thing I will say about Close to My Heart's inks, is I am still using the inks that I had like 15 years ago, and they're fine. They are totally juicy and fine. So when I do have a new color that I want to get, I happily buy it because I know that it is a very long investment, and really over the course of time ends up being a good investment too. When you use it for that many years, it's worth the money. All right, so next what we're gonna do, we just stamped the Happy Holidays on there. I'm going to take this little sprig that is above that Happy Holiday sentiment here on the stamp set, and I'm gonna stamp that. We're gonna do some tone and tone, and I'm going to stamp it in Avocado. And we're gonna stamp one above and one below. Now, if you look at this, you can see a little bit better here on the carrier sheet. It almost has like a little bit more of a rounded top up here. So I want to make sure that this is at the top of the square, and then when I do it on the bottom, it's going to be on the bottom part of the square. So I'm just going to kind of pay attention to the direction of my stamp here. It's not that different, but enough that I do want to make sure that I'm stamping it on the way I want it to look. Okay, so we're going to do 2 of those. I love that tone on tone in the Avocado. Oops, excuse me. Didn't mean to hit my desk there. And then the next thing I'm going to come in, there's this really pretty little flower here. It's perfect, the perfect size, just to kind of put it in the middle of that sprig. So let me grab my little 1x1 block, and we're going to stamp that in Candy Apple. I'm just going to go right over the middle. And look at that pretty pop of red on there. Love that. Okay. And I'm actually going to set this aside just for a minute and do the last part of the card before we put this on, because my Candy Apple ink pad is actually the pigment ink. I accidentally bought the pigment one instead of the water-based one. And so it does take just a little bit longer to dry to make sure that you don't smear that pigment ink. So I'm going to let that sit there for a minute, and I'm going to come over here and do the next part of my card. Now I'm just bringing in some brown and white twine that I have in my stash. I honestly couldn't even tell you where I got it from. I've had it for so long and I use it all of the time. And I'm just going to give myself a little spot back here to kind of hold my piece, and I am just going to wrap it twice across the top of that 1/2-inch piece. Oops. Actually, let me get a piece of tape. Might hold it in place a little bit better. Before I tape it down, I'll make sure it's in the right spot. That looks good. There we go. And so there, now we just kind of added a little bit of texture and a little something else there. And then I am going to put 2 little ties on it, so let me get those cut and ready to go. Okay. All right, I'm going to put those on after I have my square on here. And hopefully this is dry. I will still be careful with it though, because I'd hate to have it ruined at this point. Excuse me. All right, now I'm going to pull in some bitty sparkles, which are just little tiny gems. They are so tiny. These are so fun to use for, oh, where is my piercing tool? Sorry. They are so fun to use for like snowflakes and things of that nature. They're just a tiny little bit of sparkle. I am just going to put a bitty gem right in the center of those flowers. And I like to pick up my gems and things that have adhesive on the back with my piercing tool because my fingers are too big and clumsy. So there, isn't that so cute and fun? Love it. Okay, and then we're gonna pop this up with some 3D foam tape. And you can see how quickly this card is coming together. So my goal for this video series, like I said, I'm gonna have 4 cards total by the time we're done using the White Pines collection so that, you know, we can get inspired to have a little jump start on our holiday card making. My goal is to keep them very simple and easy and something that is, you know, not gonna be difficult to reproduce in mass, because once I find something I like to make a bunch of them, just to make life a little bit easier. So, all right, I'm going to center this, hopefully it's centered, and I'm gonna be down just a little bit from that bottom piece there. And let's see, are we on straight? Hopefully we're on straight. Be careful not to touch that candy apple still, just in case. All right, almost done. And then I'm just going to tie 2 little ties over here. Just gonna knot them. I'm not going to attempt a bow, although I guess you could put a bow. Cut a little tail, make sure that that's kind of hanging out over there, and then do it again. And that is it. So this White Pines Bring Back My Pack special is available only through the end of August, and it is a Bring Back My Pack special, so it's something that Close to My Heart carried many years ago, and I don't know now that it's been brought back if they will ever make it available again. So if it's something you like, you definitely don't want to miss out. I know it is one of my very favorites from long ago, and I am so happy that it is back. Now all I need to do is attach this to my White Daisy card base to the front of the card, and done. There you go. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow with one last card. I hope you're having a great day and happy crafting. Bye.